Hello there. Welcome to my broadcast. Welcome to my website this week, too. Hope you're having a good winter, and I certainly am. I'll tell you how bad it was. I was down in the Caribbean in the Virgin Islands, St. John, backside of St. John, very isolated island down in the Caribbean. Wonderful trip and got sunshine. I was down there in 82-degree weather. The temperature swings a little rough, dropped down to 81 at night. And then I came back to Louisiana, where it's very, very cold, and certainly cold throughout the rest of the country, wherever you happen to be living right now. But one thing I wrote about this week, if you're down in Louisiana, and the majority, I think, of my viewers are to the website, although we have listeners to our radio program all over the nation, we've got a major financial crisis down here, and maybe some of you living in the rest of the country can learn something from it. I wrote this week in my column that appears in newspapers throughout the country that there's a great deal of apathy down here. I just hope that government, or at least the public, has not given up. Think there's just nothing we can do. That's the Louisiana way. We're just going to give up on it. And the point I made in the column is that you can do this in every state, but I pointed out the exceptional people that live down here in the deep South and the deepest of the deep southern states. In my hometown of Louisiana, what got me thinking about this was the fact that this is the third anniversary of the death of Van Cliburn, who I think is the greatest American musician we've ever produced, won awards all over the world, was a master pianist. Khrushchev, at the height of the Cold War, when Russia had put up Sputnik, and when Khrushchev was trying to rule the world, they had the Tchaikovsky Piano Concerto competition, and the judges knew that Cliburn had won overwhelmingly, but they didn't want to offend Khrushchev because he was on a roll to be dominating all over the world. So they go to him and said, look, Cliburn has won this competition, but what should we do? He said, did he win it? Was he the best? He said, yes, sir, he certainly was the best. He said, then give it to him. He says, I love Louis Armstrong. I love Van Cliburn. I love all the magnificent music of America. But he talked about Louisiana, Louis Armstrong, our native down here in Louisiana. And I went on to name all the other current musicians that are so high profile. Fats Domino, I saw a large study of him done in the New York Times here a week or two ago. Of course, we can go right down the list with so many. Jerry Lee Lewis, one of my clients when I lived up in Faraday, Louisiana. And you can look at the host of the Stephen Colbert Show, part of the whole Baptiste family up that way that we're so proud of. And if you're a country fan, we can go right down the list with the Tim McGraw's, and I can go over the whole list with you in terms of so many great musicians. Governor Jimmy Davis, by the way, wrote the song "You Are My Sunshine," sang it. I read last week where that is the most recognized song throughout the entire world. You are my sunshine. So anyway, I talked about the musicians, then I talked about the artists, the unbelievable artists that we have down here. George Rodrigue was a national treasure. The Blue Dog, you've seen the Blue Dog wherever you happen to live. George was a good friend, passed away about a little over a year ago. There's an artist up in Monroe, Louisiana named Don Cinconi. You may not have heard of the guy. He's not that well known here. He's an African-American artist. His paintings sell in Champs-Élysées in Paris for $40,000, $50,000. So we've got this exceptional talent. Writers, we could talk for hours about the writers that got all their inspiration from the French Quarter in New Orleans, whether it was Sherwood Anderson, Tennessee Williams, of course, William Faulkner, and the authors today that are all over this country, James Lee Burke over in Lafayette, Louisiana, Anne Rice, so many great Louisiana writers. And then I went into athletes, the fact that there are more NFL football players that have come out of Louisiana year after year than the other state in the country. The Manning brothers, of course, 2 Super Bowl rings apiece from Eli and Peyton Manning that both came from the city of New Orleans. The comparison I was making was, what happens in politics? The state is dead broke. Some of the agencies are running so incompetently. You know, we had a Rhodes Scholar for governor the last 8 years. We've got a Rhodes Scholar U.S. senator and a whole number of doctors that make up our congressional delegation. Our legislature is well educated, but they just can't seem to get it right, and I'm not sure why. And what worries me is that the public is going to get so apathetic and say, look, we just give up. These guys and gals are just absolutely worthless. And when that happens, then you go downhill so dramatically. So that was the focus of my column. You get a chance, read it. You can find it right here on the website under Jim's new column. Hope you'll have a chance to review and take a look. Listen, thanks for being with us. We'll have a lots to talk about here in the weeks and months to come. Going to talk, let's see, I've got a good guest talking about the odds of the president. You know, you can bet right now on who the president's going to be. So we'll talk about the odds of Donald Trump, Rubio, Cruz, Hillary Clinton, Bernie Sanders. Who's going to be the next president? We'll talk about that on the Jim Brown radio program this week. Hey, thanks for spending some time with me. Look over the website, have some fun. We'll talk to you again soon.